So we're moving on to the third language, and that's the most complicated one, but we will see that we're following again the steps as before. Now this language is a turtle language. You might also know it under the name of Logo. So there is this language was developed many years ago at MIT Artificial Intelligence Lab, and it's basically movements of some robot that could move around on some canvas and also draw something. So you can basically trace the movements. So you have very simple control structures to control the movements of the robot. You could imagine that that's maybe some autonomous or partially autonomous robot that navigates in space and has some path that it should follow. Now the language itself is quite advanced and quite complicated with many control structures, and we're just going to look at a very simple variant of it. So you can draw fractals and stuff, you have recursion. It's basically some full-blown programming language, and we're just going to focus on some small aspects of it, the movements of the robot or the movements of the turtle. And let me open this project. So instead of the hello blocks, we're now going to open the turtle folder. We can again just make sure that it runs locally. So we should open a terminal. And let's do the install, although we did this in the parent folder. Then npm run def, and let's see. This now has a few features. So for example, it comes with a simulator. So the simulator basically already executes some program, and it's this program here. We're saying repeat 15 times. So let's maybe reduce that a bit, and we go forward by maybe 100 pixels, and we turn right 90 degrees. And then we're going to say, we already updated the code, right? So basically here the pixel values are already updated. So if we go, 50 pixels, it already updates it here. So that's as before, but now we have this button run program to start the simulation, because the simulation is always a bit more tricky. And here you see this program that's also written in no longer our pseudocode language, it's written in JavaScript. So we're generating JavaScript directly. And yeah, if we basically move forward 50 pixels, or let's make it a bit larger, do 100 pixels, then we just get a line, and then we turn right, and then we execute this for some certain number of times, then we get this square. That's this language, and we see we have a move block, we have a turn block, we have this repeat block, we have again this number value, and then we have something called routines. So we could basically define some routines, and we can call this routine maybe square, because it draws a square, right? And then we see we define the function square. Okay, now if we run this code, it's not going to do anything because now it's not executing anything. So we can say run routine square. It automatically figures out which routines exist, and then this is the code we're running this square routine. So this one is a bit more complicated, and we will see how that one is defined, right? We could have different blocks. I just copy pasted these. Yeah, and then we could call it maybe a triangle. So we'll probably need something done 3 times instead of 4 times, right? And probably 120 degrees. So if we call the triangle instead of the square, let's see what happens. We get a triangle, right? And we can, of course, then also nest these and do a triangle and a square maybe. Now we have the square over the triangle. maybe that's not so nice. So we should probably in between turn and then move a bit away. So we should maybe turn left by 90 degrees so that we're facing upwards. And then maybe move forward for some number of pixels. Maybe again, I don't know, let's do 70. Okay, now let's see what happens. Going to draw the triangle, then we're going to move up. Oh, that's a lot of pixels. Huh. 70 pixels looks quite long, right? Okay. Like this 70 pixels looks longer than those 100 pixels, right? Okay. But maybe that's how it is. Some pixels are longer than others. Really, it doesn't really make sense, right? But I mean, we're not here to play with this thing. Wow, those 100 pixels are very long. The code generated here looks fine. So very likely there's something wrong in our simulation framework. But we're not developing this simulation framework right now. This is basically some code running here. We're going to look at, inspect the program, look at the stuff that we know. And the stuff that we know is the blocks definition, right? So what blocks do we have? We have the turtle move block, which is labeled move something by something. And now that corresponds to, yeah, maybe let's move this one. That's the block that it corresponds to, right? So we're going to move and then forward, backward, and for some number of pixels. Now this is a dropdown. We didn't really have this so far. We can define dropdowns by simply using field dropdown. So now no, not input, but field. There are some listed fields in the documentation. It's linked in the tutorial. We probably skipped over that here. Where did I link this? I'm not sure where I linked it. I hope I linked it somewhere. Maybe already in the first one. The different ways to do so. This custom field here, number. Oh, we can find it. This one has built-in fields, and then we can see fields overview. Was somewhere in the block definition. So ways to define blocks, modify block definitions. Maybe here in JSON. So sometimes in Firefox this documentation is slow. In Chrome it's somehow faster. Not sure why. So JSON inputs, multiple messages. Yeah, here we can see. So we have this field dropdown, for example, or checkboxes, or color, or number. Number we already had, right? Input we already had. Now drop down, we can also see how to define that if it loads, which is taking a bit too long, right? But basically, we can define options for the dropdown, and then this is the options key, and then the value. Let's see that, or well, the other way around, the label, and then yeah, one is the one that's shown as the label, and then the other one is the value that we can retrieve. So that's our move block. Then we have a turn block where we say turn something by some number of degrees. And again, we have drop down where we say what are the directions that we can turn left and right. And then we have an input, which is the angle. And then we have this routine definition where we are able to define a routine. Now, why do we have so many elements here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 3, right? The first one is the name of the routine. Then there's some input dummy and some input statement, which is basically defining the body. So this routine definition that corresponds to this block here, we can define this my task, and then we have here the list of statements that we can click into. And we can change this name, of course. That's the name defined as routine name. And the default here is my task. Now, we had in JSON here the move, the turn, and the routine definition. But we also need the routine execution, right? Now, the routine execution is a bit tricky because we can't really define the values here as a dropdown. We can't know them in advance, so we cannot define this block as JSON. We have to define this block the other way as JavaScript. And that's what we can do here. It's quite similar. We say we're defining it here as routine call as a new block element in this kind of map of blocks. It has an init function, and in this init function, it basically looks at the workspace and checks for routine definitions, and then it collects all the names of the routine definitions, and then it creates a dropdown where we have the routine names that we can select from. So then now that we have this routine square, triangle, if we move in this run routine thing, it will look what are the possible routine names. This my task, this was this one, right? So that's one option. Then if we change that, it gets out of sync. So this is a really maybe bad way to use routines. The more clever way is to use the built-in stuff of Blockly. So Blockly also has blocks that we can use for method calling. So block definitions. Let's see, code generation, connections, procedures. Yeah, those are the built-in blocks for procedures. We basically implemented our own just to see what is the difference, how to update a block automatically, right? These are the ones that we could use off the shelf, just import them. But here in this tutorial, I just wanted to show you that we can also define them using this combination of JavaScript that checks in the workspace for the values that it needs, and this basically with this combination of JSON. And then how do we get those blocks imported? Again, in our main, we have the define blocks, which defines our blocks. Now this define blocks was the one that contained the JSON thing here with the JSON array and this JavaScript-based block definition, right? So it now defines all those 4 blocks. And then we'll skip this for now. We will create our workspace, and in our workspace, we will add also math number, and we will add controls repeat X probably extended. This is the block that allows us to do this looping thing, the repeat for many times. And that's then our workspace. So in our workspace, we then have this repeat thing where we can add a number of times and then some statements, right? So we could have this one, statements, and do it 5 times. Then we would have this. Gets a bit messy because we have these routine names defined here. Oh. And you see it's not in sync, so we're still calling this triangle routine, although no routines are defined, right? So yeah, be careful. This is really just a demo of how to do these routine and routine calls, not the one that you should be using. You should be using the one of the official documentation of the official Blockly library. Good. Now that we defined the blocks, we are here. We basically set up the workspace. Now we also have to load our simulation code and rearrange those different panels. So now our index HTML looks a bit different. We have a bit more styling, well, a lot more styling, but then we still have the div for the Blockly editor. Then we have some controls where there's a run button, this run program, and then the code output, which we know from before. And then we have some simulation panel where we load some simulator code. So this simulator code, it's long. We don't really have to understand it. The only thing we have to understand is that it provides basically some API that we can use for code generation. And other than that, the work here is similar. The workspace and block definition is similar to before. And now we saw that there's this kind of load. We're loading a workspace because if we start this Blockly, let's do a refresh of this page, we see that there's already a program. Usually we didn't have any program, right? So this program here, we simply load it into the editor every time we open the page, and that of course has to be defined somewhere. So the starter workspace state, it's again defined in JSON. That's this huge thing after the define blocks here. It basically initializes the workspace with the different blocks here. We see this do block, turtle, then the move block, the math number, the turn, the math number, direction, right, and stuff. So it's basically just saving this one program as a JSON array and then loading it into the workspace. That's just for convenience. And other than that, we set up the workspace and blocks the same way as before.